I'm Sydney Schwarzwalder from the class of 2021. We now have come to our final speaker of the evening, alumnus Ned Skanchy. So for the past 15 years, Ned Skanchy has worked in all areas of multifamily housing industry, including management, development, finance, and acquisitions. He is the president of Urban Hive Properties, which currently manages a portfolio of apartments in Salt Lake and Weber counties. As a social entrepreneur, Ned believes in finding self-sustaining private solutions to challenges facing our communities. Ned is a co-founder and board member of the Westminster Social Impact Incubator. Please help me welcome to the stage, Ned Skanchy.
Hello, Westminster. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This has been so much fun. I appreciate the Westminster as a community, as an entity, as helping us try and change the world. We all want to change the world. And we're learning more about how to do that tonight through all these great talks that we've heard. So thank you for being here. We very much appreciate it. Okay. In December 2018, the Wall Street Journal published an article entitled "The Loneliest Generation." So this refers to people 50 years of age and older. In this article, it talked about people from Washington, D.C., and Texas and California, people whose lives hadn't turned out the way they had expected. I want to tell you about someone who's not in the article but lived about a half block from here. So Wayne was a retired psychologist, divorced, estranged from his only daughter. On July 4th, 2017, after a barbecue, his neighbors took him a plate of food. Timing was good. They found Wayne had fallen on the floor and couldn't get up. They called an ambulance. Wayne was in good enough condition that he didn't have to go to the hospital, so everyone went about their business. A few days later, concerned about the number of newspapers piling up in front of his door, the neighbors checked on him again. Turns out he had fallen again. This time, he was dehydrated and delusional. They didn't give him a choice to go with the paramedics this time, but he was taken to the hospital. And he was released to a nursing home. We hear a story like Wayne's, and we think, man, that's hard. It makes me concerned for my loved ones. Makes me concerned for my future. No one thinks they're going to be alone. But what the Wall Street Journal article tells us is that there are 8 million Americans who lack a spouse, significant other, or children. Really anyone to be around. Okay, so in this demographic of people who are 50 and older, that's 1 in 11. This is our loneliest epidemic. Not only is loneliness hard on us emotionally, but it also takes a significant impact on our health. 2015, a BYU meta-study found that loneliness can impact our health to the same extent that smoking 15 cigarettes a day does. Pretty significant. Not only that, but it costs us a lot. Medicare estimates that people who do not have close social connections cost an additional $6.7 billion annually. Okay? So you're thinking on what? Well, this goes to hospitalization and nursing care. You can see that in Wayne's situation. If he had been living with someone or had someone checking on him, he may have been found earlier and not had to go to the hospital. If he had some support, he may not have had to go into a nursing home so soon. Just last month, the Sacramento Bee published an article talking about affordable housing. And they said the new face of affordable housing is students. Students in California are thinking about dropping out of school because they cannot find affordable housing. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just California. That doesn't happen here. Well, it does. Okay? Ming is a student at Westminster College right now. She moved off campus, decided she'd like to have her own room. So she took her $295 budget and found a room. Only this wasn't much of a room. It was a sheet hanging in the middle of a living room. So no door, no bed, no closet, no privacy, affectionately called the hole. This was her room. When she complained about it, people just reminded her, hey, for $295, what do you expect? You think you can find something better? Then go for it. I know you've heard in the headlines and other places that the affordable housing issue is not just for students, it's something facing all of us. The Low Income Housing Institute published a 2019, what they call their 2019 two-bedroom wage. This is the wage you need to make hourly to afford a modest two-bedroom apartment. That's $22.96. That's for the nation as a whole. In Utah, it's a little lower, it's $18.30. This $22.96 represents what you need to make, but it's not what you spend on housing. So oftentimes when we talk about housing affordability, we can get confused about the terms. So when someone talks about affordable housing, they mean that no more than 30% of your income is spent on housing. So of every dollar you get, 30 can go to housing, the other 70 goes to your car, your food, these other things, correct? Well, what about those who spend more on housing than 30%? In Salt Lake, in Utah, there are 120,000 households who spend 50% of their income on housing. 50 cents of every dollar goes to housing. And the problem isn't getting better or easier. In order to meet demand by 2030, we need to build 328,000 new apartments per year. Okay? That's a huge undertaking with significant environmental impacts. This is the home I grew up in. Not far from here. I'm number 7 of 9 kids, big family. So for a good chunk of my life, there was 11 of us living in this 5-bedroom, 3,000 square foot home. But today, my mother lives in this home with my sister. And there are 3 empty bedrooms. Based on my analysis of the census studies, we have about 73,000 empty bedrooms in Salt Lake County. I wonder if these empty bedrooms can help Wayne and can help Ming. Let me tell you Alice's story. Finding herself single and kids off to college, Alice started taking in guests. Over a period of 20 years, she had 12 to 15 guests come through her home. She had a Mongolian doctor. She had a Chinese professor. She had a niece and a nephew and a student from Thailand. Most of these people were found through her network. She would talk to others, and they'd say, hey, I have a friend looking for a place. And, I said to Alice, weren't you scared of bringing these people into your home? I mean, how would you know? You don't know them. And she said, what do you mean? I had a ball. She had a great time with this. So people living with Alice, in one case, they were able to save enough money to put a down payment on a condominium. And others just enjoyed the relationship that they had with Alice. So Alice is an example of home sharing. Home sharing is a solution for a lot of problems, both social, environmental, and financial. So in Utah, with our 73,000 empty bedrooms, if we could take 10% of those, that would mean that we wouldn't need to build new apartments for 5 years. Who wouldn't like to see less construction going on in their neighborhood? Not only that, but these empty bedrooms are generally owned by this loneliest generation, this demographic that's 50 years of age and older. Imagine increasing fixed incomes for these folks. Imagine the company that it can provide. Imagine the help around the house it could provide. Also for the students or the teachers, or the retail workers and service workers who are so often pushed out of our communities. Imagine being able to find a place to live. Let's take Ming's example for a minute. She can go live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath basement rather than in the hole. And it might even cost less than the $295 that she had before. Additionally, she could have a mentor. She could find someone, maybe someone in the Westminster community, who also studied at Westminster and who had a similar major. They could mentor her and talk about their experience at school. Imagine the mixing that can go on from a socioeconomic standpoint, that an international student could be housed with somebody who's never traveled internationally. Think about the upward mobility that would cause if we can make safe and stable communities, instead of having kids who are worried about where they're going to be living next week or next month. So the idea here is to reduce the amount of new development that we're doing. I must side note, we need more housing. I'm just saying, can we use the existing housing better? Can we use it more efficiently? So can we reduce the impact of building new buildings? Can we reuse our existing stock better? And can we upcycle? Can we help people break intergenerational poverty and increase upward mobility? So you might be thinking to yourself, sounds interesting. But I'm a little apprehensive about taking this step. Well, let me say, home sharing is not a new idea. In fact, not too many years ago, we referred to it as boarding. Many of your grandparents and great-grandparents probably had experience with boarding. For hundreds of years, people lived together. It's the living alone that's a new concept. So you want to get started. Let's start small. Take someone into your home for a month or 3 months. See how it goes. Start in your network. Talk to people. Let them know that you are open to hosting someone in your home. And do they know anyone that would like a place? I mean, who wouldn't want a student like Ming in their home? Diligent, excited to be here. There are also other ways to get matched with a student. For the past year, I've been working on this idea. I've been talking to people who have shared their home, people like Alice, and I've talked to people who've lived in shared homes, because I find this idea compelling. I find the idea that we can help solve loneliness, that we can help solve the affordability crisis, that we can help produce lower expenditures for people who are struggling with their incomes and increase incomes to those on fixed budgets. Then we can decrease the number of units we're building and the impact it has on the environment. I want to take that to more people and make it a reality. So last year I've been working on this, and the result of that is Keen Home Share, which is a new idea that we're working on. And I have some students from Westminster that have been fantastic working with me on it. We're just getting started, but we'd love to have the Westminster community help us make this a reality. The challenges we face as a community, they can be big, overwhelming, and they can be complex, and they can be scary. But maybe there's a simple solution. Share your home. Save the world. Thank you.